welcome back to Let's Talk Dog podcast. My name is Bea. I am your administrator and moderator. And let's introduce the ladies of Let's Talk Dog.
What's up, everybody? Narca the Dog Guru from Central Florida.
Hey, it's Alexis, vintage dog trainer in Missouri.
And our guest.
And our special guest. There you go.
This is already starting off super good. We've got this. My name's Steph. I run Beta Dog Training north of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
All right. Well, welcome, Steph. We're happy to have you. Well, we're gonna mostly this is gonna be about you. So we're gonna ask you a ton of questions, and we're gonna start off with just a very basic one, which is, who are you? Where did you get started?
I kind of fell into it. I was doing a bunch of work for rescues, and we had bought an acreage that had an abandoned kennel building on it. And we were fostering for rescues and stuff. And I was training my own dogs because I wanted to compete with my dogs and I wanted to do stuff with them. But we ended up doing a lot of foster work, and we ended up doing more and more behavior work with the rescue we were working with. And I still had like a normal people job. So then I also ended up like training the people I work with. And then I ended up training like their brothers. And then I ended up training like their brother's, mother's, sister's, cousin's neighbor. And then I just kind of gave up and did it full time because I could not sustain working 40 hours a week this and 40 hours a week that. So we did this. Because
that's what I'm doing right now.
No regrets. No regrets.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Now, Beta Dog Training is the name of your company. Where did the name Beta Dog Training come from?
So my name was Beta. At the last job I worked at, I was there like 6 years, and 6 months after I got hired, another chef got hired, and I was the beta version because I had bugs. And she was 2.0, but she was the second one. And I was Beta for years. Like if I was just like, hey, yeah, Beta has dogs, go talk with Beta. And I'm just not super creative. So when I went to register the company, because I was working with too many dogs and I needed an actual company, I literally named it like Steph's Dog Training, like it's Beta Dog Training. And we kind of assumed that we would do this part-time and then, maybe open up like a boarding kennel or something. So it was very much just like a throwaway name so that I had a company so that like the government wasn't going to come after me, and that I could put it on a website. And then it got big, and now I can't remove any of it. So now it's literally Steph's Dog Training, but I've left my old job, so I don't really get called Beta a lot. So now it doesn't make sense because nobody calls me Beta, and I'm like, well, that's where it came from.
History, though. It has a history. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think it was skewed to be something else by people that didn't quite know the history on it, but no, it was literally just my name.
All right.
Noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you are in rural Canada. What is your service area? Like, do you do online? Do you just do in person? What areas do you cover? I know we have Canadian people who listen.
I absolutely do not do online. I do not do virtual. This is my first ever Zoom in my life. I've Skyped like twice in my entire life. Nope. So I don't do any of the online virtual, nothing. But I do in person, and I'm like 30 minutes north of a city. So my main like private lesson clientele and the day programs and all that stuff comes from the city. My board and train program, I service most of Western Canada. I've had dogs from like the south of the province. I've had dogs from Saskatchewan and BC. And the dog I've had furthest north was from Inuvik, which is, I think it's like 21 hours north of me. So it's like above the Arctic Circle. So I do take dogs from Northern Canada, and they get flown down for board and train because there's very, very little access to trainers there. But I am right next to a city. I'm close enough that people from a city can commute. So I do a lot of private lessons and day stuff with all of those people.
Okay. That's quite a bit. I have lots of questions, but girls, do you have any questions? So I don't just run over the top of everyone.
We have questions. Everybody has questions. How old were you when you got started with dogs? Was it just the rescue stuff, and when you were already, or have you always been into dogs?
I was like that really weird dog kid that was super into dogs, that like wore out the 101 Dalmatians tape and had all the sticker books with all the breeds, and like volunteered at all the dog things and wanted to be a vet. And I was raised for part of my life next to a Doberman breeder. So they competed in obedience and stuff. So I always was very interested in competing with a dog, but I couldn't have a dog for the first few years of like my adult life, because first I was in the military and then I worked a very like intense shift work job. So that wasn't super good. But when I moved in with my boyfriend, I wanted a dog I could compete with. And so I had spent years looking for Malinois breeders, and I was looking to compete with dogs and train them in that way, just for me. I didn't have any like, oh, hey, I should go do behavior mod on a large scale dreams. But that is where we have ended up.
Why a Malinois?
Because I wanted to do ring. Specifically, like I was really interested in French ring. And because I was interested in French ring, I wanted a Malinois because I was interested in the sport of French ring. I had very little interest in Schutzhund. And I'd met a Malinois and I really liked it. But as I was Googling Malinois, I found the sport of ring, and I really wanted to do ring. And the dog you will succeed with in ring is more often than not a Malinois. And because I was new to the sport, I figured, okay, well, I'm not going to try and compete with an off breed because I can't compete in a new sport with an off breed.
Right.
Then we're learning all kinds of things. So I went looking for a dog that would very much guarantee success in that sport. And from there, just took off on the competition scale.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs working. There's nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people think I got a Malinois and then I like found something to do with it. And I was like, no, I got one specifically. Like I made sure he had like a working, I went through lines. I looked for 3 years for Mac, like my oldest male, because I refused to get one until I could. We agreed we wouldn't get one until we could find an acreage. And the deal was that he would get a shop and I would get a Malinois. So then we would both have hobbies. And now neither of us has hobbies and we just work continuously.
Yeah.
Neither
Does he work with you then? Does he work,
so he used to like, so we both do this full time. He's more interested in stuff like service and therapy dog work. So he volunteered with a service dog agency and finished off a couple dogs for them as a volunteer, like right when we were kind of beginning the company. So I was like volunteering to fix behavioral dogs and he was volunteering to finish perfect dogs. Very different. And so he still does a lot of therapy work. He's actually the president of a therapy dog society up here. But yeah, he also has started, like, now that we have staff and our focus really is behavioral work, he's kind of not doing as much dogs. He's still here and he does dog stuff all the time, but he's doing less dog training and he's doing a lot more, like he makes collars, he makes leashes, he makes dog gear, anything we've needed for 7 years, he's made. So he's just now instead of making gear for all of us, he's making gear for other people too. So yeah.
I apologize for the barking dog in the background. That would be one of mine.
B's apologizing for barking dogs.
Yeah, I get that. It's okay.
How dare they bark?
Look,
Like,
yeah.
they're monsters. Monsters.
They're always monsters.
They are.
If I ever have anything, we have like new stranger in the room and my brain just goes, stranger, just drink tea compulsively.
Where's the wine? Go get the wine.
It's early for wine.
You need
It's
us
not
early.
too early.
Like 5 o'clock. You're fine.
4:30.
5 here. So there it's 5 somewhere. See, it's 5 here. 5 o'clock.
It is 5 o'clock. All right. So I have my favorite question, which is always, what is your favorite breed?
Right there, look. Favorite breed. Yeah.
Like personally, I'll like I actually made a TikTok like this. My favorite breed is trained. I don't care what dog it is as long as it's trained. If you can train it, if it likes to train, if it is trained, I am a fan. Personally, I don't think I'll ever live without a Malinois. They're my dog and they probably always will be, but trained. Anything that is trained, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
What is your favorite breed to watch work? Not to train, but to watch work as a working
I
animal.
really like watching dogs work livestock. Like I really like watching herding dogs work. I also actually like watching livestock guardians work because we have a lot of livestock guardians in the area. But I really like watching herding breeds actually like move livestock. I can watch videos of that all day.
I think it's awesome. I like watching it as well. I've spent a large chunk of time while working in front of my computer while I'm doing my regular job, like watching weird random videos of dogs moving cattle or sheep or whatever.
Responding to a whistle, like
yeah.
He's doing different
Kelpies are the ones that I find most interesting because they're like weird gremlin sheep dogs.
There's nothing more beautiful than watching a dog do what it was bred to do. Like it's beautiful.
Literally.
What is your least favorite breed?
An untrained one.
I know. You can't say an untrained one. That is a cop out.
I don't love working with dogs with super low motivation. A lot of the English bulldogs in my area are really, really heavily backyard bred with genetic issues, and they're not my favorite because they frequently are in pain. They frequently have something else going on that is not necessarily just a training issue, and that always kind of makes me sad. Dogs that have waited 6 or 7 or 8 years and have had problems for 6 or 7 or 8 years and are now at the point where they're basically psychotic. I do not love working with a dog that it shows that it's been struggling its whole life and now it's an inconvenience, so we're going to get training. But like breed wise, anything that's a brachiophilic dog, but specifically we've had a lot of English bulldogs this year, and one of them had really good food drive and decent structure, and the rest of them, like one was noticeably like uncomfortable walking around, and that was just like, he's just not going to have a happy life.
I don't think people realize like how serious it is.
Yeah,
I do, but that's because I love boxers and they're my favorite.
I have a male pit bull. Does anyone have a female red-nosed pit bull that I can bring?
Yeah.
Why are you asking this on Facebook? First of all, no.
Right.
So bad. I've had a few clients reach out with the whole, well, I want my dog to have a litter. Why? Your dog's already nervous. Your dog's already a little aggressive. Your dog already has these genetic issues, and you're trying to breed that. Like,
Don't add to the problem.
the exotics are my favorite now. They're like stuck to the floor like this. They're this big,
like in a permanent push-up.
Wow. That's awful.
Yeah.
Awful stuff, man. Stop breeding dogs in your yard, please. Stop buying dogs from people.
I don't know. I want to know where like the myth came from. At least where I came from in Utah, everyone was like, well, I've always heard it's best if they have one litter before they get fixed.
No, it is not best if your dog has any litters. It's fine if your dog never bears children. It's totally fine.
Hey, Sky, do you feel bad that you've never had puppies?
To live with your dog, and no, you just don't need that in your life. Stop it. Stop getting dogs and stop breeding dogs, and just stick to the dog you have at home and fix that dog. Try to work on that dog. Okay. All right. Team break. All
Thanks,
right.
Norca. I feel attacked.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying, Lexus. I'm just saying. Like.
Excuse me. We've got our shit sorted.
I'm working on it.
Bottom line is, no backyard breeding, guys. It's bad. And stop getting dogs.
Norca likes to remind me to stop getting dogs. I have 5. But when she met me, I had 4.
That's only an added 1, man. You got, those are low numbers. Those are new numbers. You're fine.
Yeah, don't give B any ideas. Thanks. Bye.
Once you hit double digits,
then just go by. That's a wrap, guys. Okay.
All right. So, what is your absolute passion when it comes to dog training?
I really like behavior mod, but I really like like reactivity and aggression in herding breeds, like working behavior mod there. Outside of like the training company, I really like competing with my dogs, but like training wise for the business, that I need to start considering a hobby. I need to do that as a hobby, because yeah, business wise, I really like behavior mod. I really like aggression and reactivity. I specifically like it in herding breeds. So yeah, that's my thing.
So you said you started in rescue, and that's where you started kind of working with dogs with the behavior modification and all that good stuff. Do you notice a big problem with like trying to help rescue dogs with behavior issues? Like, did you start like volunteering at different rescues, or were you just like running your own rescue at first? Or
No, not running my own. Oh God, no. No, I worked with one rescue exclusively for, I think I did like high volume fostering with them for the better part of a year. And in that year, I think we did 70 or 80 behavior cases as fosters, and they like lived with us. And then I worked with them like on and off, but less full-time-ish for another year or so. And yeah, yes, there was some reactivity and issues there, but most of it was not super prevalent and apparent when you got the dog into care. Because you're then teaching them. A lot of the dogs that are in rescue right now in my area are dogs that are pulled from communities where they are loose dogs. So they are called community dogs. They are community dogs that have been surrendered to a rescue. Those dogs just haven't actually been told how to live life in a city. So they don't have a lot of reactivity and aggression issues coming in initially, because they're completely shell shocked. They're like, oh my God, this is completely crazy. And they don't know how to live life. It's really like 2 or 3 months into living with some of these dogs, and people get this dog that it's a very high energy dog that was running around all day, every day. And now it is in someone's house 23 hours a day. And the only outlet it has is walking, and being outside and on a leash is a completely different ball game than running loose in a community. So then they get frustrated and they just don't know how to live that life. So I don't see them coming in with this massive aggression and reactivity issue. I see them becoming frustrated because no one really told them how the new world works. The other big reactivity and aggression contribution here is backyard breeding. We have a ton of it.
okay. And what's the most common, like, what was the most common like behavior that you had to deal with as far as like rescue dogs? Like, what did you see most of?
Resource guarding. Resource guarding was really common.
Yeah.
We had a decent amount of resource guarders, which tracks, and I don't. That made sense with what they were coming and where they were coming from.
Right.
So I wouldn't even call like the type of resource guarding that I get from clients now. It was a significant amount of resource guarding, but it was very controllably, logically like, oh yeah, they're
Right.
going to guard that. That
Right.
makes sense. With the resource guarders that come in now, it's a dog that, is 9 months old, has never lived anywhere but this one person's house, and it's strongly genetic and it's excessive. Yeah, resource guarding was common.
Yeah, that's one I see a lot too with the rescues I work with. That and just the lack of socialization. These dogs are just shut down from people. They are afraid of people, and they try to get adopted out. They go to their new home, and somebody wants to throw a baby shower 2 days after a new rescue's there, and then boom, kid gets bit. Because that's a great idea.
Literally,
Members over when you adopt a new dog.
Yeah. Most of the ones we get are very environmentally strong because they've lived outside most of their lives, and they've seen a lot of things in that way. But people wise, the people wise and living in a city, they're not socialized to at all. So the concept of being like, oh hey, we go in someone else's house to their baby shower is just like wildly out there. But yeah,
we need to do a whole episode on rescues. I have so much to tell.
Yeah.
We should get a bunch of trainers who have done a lot of rescue work and just be like, let's talk rescue from a trainer perspective.
I think I don't know. It's a big reason why dogs are put down and put in the wrong homes. And some people are really trying to get these dogs adopted out and to save homes, but a lot of people just don't have the resources or knowledge. to work with the dogs that come
Yeah.
in. Like the dogs that get surrendered for bites and all that. Like, how do you rehabilitate a dog when you have like, high school handlers and those senior ladies that come in the afternoon to walk dogs like that?
Yeah.
Dogs don't get the practice and the hands-on training they actually need while they're at the rescue. So kind of sucks.
So when you guys have rescues, do you guys frequently have a rescue that's like in a facility?
Yeah, different. People can open their own little like nonprofits, so you can run a rescue out of your house if you want. And
yeah, almost all the rescues here are run as foster home rescues. So we get these people that want to, like, very, very rarely do we have, like, you can get volunteers for rescues, but they're doing events and stuff. They're not helping with dog care in a facility because that almost doesn't exist here. I think there's 2. Mostly it's these people that want to foster home these dogs, and then they get dropped off a dog at 10 o'clock at night that has never been in a house or a crate or anything. And you're like, okay, this is
here goes an all-nighter.
Yeah.
It's almost like I know what that's like.
Here it just depends. If you're running a rescue for your house and you get the funds available and you see a facility that you can grab, most people do. So a couple I've worked for, I've seen the ones that are, they get grants by the state and all that, and raise money on enrichment gardens and big yards, and they don't give a shit about actually training dogs and putting money towards that.
Oh yeah, no.
And I've worked with some little mom and pop places with, just ladies that get together and they see something and they see a problem and they want to fix it, and then they are way in over their heads because they don't know what, messing with bully breeds and messing with, bigger dogs that have attitude problems.
Oh yeah.
You want to save every dog, but it's impossible when we don't have the resources.
So speaking of facilities, what kind of challenges did you have when you were setting your facilities up?
What didn't we have?
Everything went wrong.
Yeah, it did. So we moved here, and so this building, like the building I'm sitting in, is a 7,000 square foot ex-kennel building. And when we bought this kennel had been shut down for 20 years. And the previous owner had it had indoor-outdoor runs. So indoor runs through the center, and then outdoor exterior runs with just an overhang, right? So Buddy, without knowledge of the county, had decided he would take down all the exterior runs and wall in the building without letting anyone know, and then sell it completely unpermitted. And then I would have to hire a structural engineer to prove that the work Buddy did, which was not good, was okay. And then it wasn't okay, so I had to fix the work he did. But he walled in the building, not as a facility or anything. He was very weird. Half of it he walled in and it was a shop, and half of it he was walling it in and building like a mother-in-law suite or something. I don't know. It was like studs. It was just very strange. It was very, very strange. So it took the better part of 2 years to get a structural engineer clearance and the county's clearance. And then we had to actually prove that the biggest problem was actually the roof, because I had no designs or plans or anything, because
you don't know what you're doing when it comes to the roof.
I had to get an engineer to come prove that the roof that is on my building that has been here for 50 years, because 1976 is stamped in the concrete over there. I had to prove that my roof would support the snow load of an Albertan winter after 50 years of supporting a snow load for an Albertan winter.
I don't know what
super fun
we have to do to prove that. Like,
yeah.
Did you just have to wait out a couple of winters?
They were like, we need to prove that the foundation is at least 11 inches thick or something. So I had Buddy drill 11 pilot holes under a bunch of load-bearing walls, and I had a roof guy and a concrete guy do it. And they still were like, they broke the drill bit and never went past 11 inches and never went through the concrete. So we're like, cool, we're way over. And they were like, well, you need at least 11 inches, but this does not prove how big it is. I said, well, it proves it's at least 11 inches. And they were like, we don't know that that's good enough. And I was like, listen, I'm not big on the school, but like, I know 11 and 12 is bigger than 11. Like, so it was fun. So literally it took the better part of 3 or 4 years to get all the permits and the engineering and everything. And then in December 2019, we had finally grown big enough that both of us were doing this full time. We had saved up a bit. We had approval. We had all our engineering. We hired a company, wonderful times, and we renovated half the building. And that was a huge reno, which was just stressful. But that meant we had an indoor training space and we had an indoor boarding space and we had heat. And that was super fun. And then March 2020 hit, where, you know, I panicked and thought, oh my God, I don't know how we're going to run this. And then I just got busier.
Yep.
Then I just got wicked busy.
Yeah,
so from there,
dog trainers didn't suffer much during COVID, guys. We had jobs.
Nope.
We had bad dogs, a lot of bad dogs.
Yep, dogs just got worse. So so it's been we've done it in pieces because the building was already existing. We're working with the existing footprint. So we've been doing it in pieces. We did the training room, and then like 10 months later we did the lobby, and then last spring we'd spent 3 years getting people to drop fill in our front several acres, and that was the exercise yards. And then so we did it over time. Now I will say, like, we're done. There's a piece that we could still do, but I don't want to do it because that seems like too much work. But we're done for now, and it's been a 3-year process of like continuously doing smaller things.
That's growth, baby. That's growth.
Listen, it needs to just calm down.
I don't want to be an adult.
Yeah, no. But yeah, like it's been far more doable if you do it in pieces. I think everybody wants to, if they do a reno and make a facility, they want everything to be perfect off the bat. When I was running private, when I started working less in people's houses and more here, I took the back room that is our boarding room, and I had literally like gone to the end of the roll flooring store, bought a large discount piece of rolled out vinyl, rolled that out, threw paint on the walls. We had a space heater heating what was a very small room that I ran privates in. And in order to get in the room, everyone had to walk through my dog potty yard to the back of a concrete wall where the door was all weird, and you had to walk down a hill in forest in rural Canada. It was very like I literally used to tell people like, hey, if you think you're driving up like through the woods and you're like, oh my God, I think I'm in like some sort of murder horror show. Yeah, you're at the right spot, 100%. Like it was sketch. It was 100% sketch.
No, I promise I'm just training your dog. You don't at all need to be worried about your personal safety.
I'm sending you my location. This looks suspect.
I'm so surprised people were not like texting SOS and being like, okay, I'm here in case I get murdered. But my theory is, and always has been, and I tell my staff this all the time, is like, to a certain degree, is even in this industry, you can be a bit sketch if you're good. If you're good,
people trust.
Yeah. If you're good and you can prove it, if people walk in and they like, I was like 25 and I have the same personality I have now, and I'm rocking around in like Crocs, and I had no like business gear for probably a year after being a business because I didn't think it was important. And like, yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know how people trust me. And I'd be like, okay, show up for a free assessment. And I've never had somebody not sign with me and be like, oh, okay,
charisma,
you know what
baby, that charisma.
Yeah.
You gotta have it. You have to have it in this business. If you have shitty attitude and bad customer service, like you're not gonna get phone calls. You're not gonna get anybody.
No. There's lots of people with like great websites and like a stunning facility and a massive amount of debt, and they can't train their way out of a paper bag, but they're like, okay, cool, because it's all on the show of like, look, I'm a big trainer. And I'm like, train dogs. Like, just train dogs. If you can train a dog, you can prove that to people. That is so easy to prove. If you can train the dog, you don't need a super website. You don't need a fancy facility. You don't need, in some cases, running water. That was for a fun few months. But like, if you can train, listen, give it the time.
We're doing better now. That's all that matters. We're doing better now.
Yeah, a year and a half, my well died to the property for the whole property. That was
Do
great.
you live on the same property that your facility is on?
I live 30 feet from my building.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
You live and breathe and eat dogs.
Mm-hmm.
No eating dogs
So-
here, guys. No eating dogs.
While I was building, like while we were finishing the building and we were
Nope.
putting in floor, we were putting in like actually making the building usable and getting the permits to do so, I actually boarded and trained and did everything that we currently do, but out of my house. Because I could split my house in two. So one side of my house, I would board like 12 dogs on. And then on the other side of the house, I would sleep.
No dogs, yeah. No dogs.
Yeah. I have my own dogs.
No dogs allowed.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, dude.
Oh.
That's growth right there, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other, do you have, let's not call it competition, but are there other trainers out there actually like proving like that they do behavior modification and do what you do?
Sort of. There's a couple in my province. There's 2 or 3 in my province that I would consider like if I can't fit you in, like I'll tell you to go to them. There's 3 or 4 others that definitely are trying to get into behavior mod. I don't know if they're going to end up staying there or succeeding there or anything, but like I know there's like 2 or 3 other people that I'll refer you to, like if I can't fit you in, and they're pretty good. There's a couple more that are trying to get into it, but a really popular thing in my area is just group classes, and it is very, very hard to run group classes in a place where it is winter 7 or 8 months of the year without renting a space. And when COVID hit, a lot of the trainers that rely on solely group classes,
Couldn't have group classes.
they ended up not being able to rent their spaces because the spaces would close down completely because they weren't renting the space for the month. They were renting it like that evening.
Right.
So a lot of people realized, okay, shit, like I can't do group classes anymore. And they had to kind of pivot. And some of them tried to pivot to behavior mod, having had a background just in like puppy obedience. So for a while, for about a year, the end of 2020 till I would say like mid last year, we had a large number of people that were like, yeah, I do behavior mod and all this. And that's, I've seen that kind of fade away the last 6 or 7 months because places are opening back up. So they're going back to group classes. They're like, oh, no, that sucked. And then they're like,
that's scary.
Yeah, they're like, that was fun. That was a fun few months, but no, we're good.
Not for me.
Yeah, so there's a decent amount, but there's not a ton. There's maybe 2 or 3 others from this province, and there's like 2 or 3 in BC I'd recommend. There's I know a couple in Ontario, but that's across the country. But yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this isn't for everybody. It's not.
No.
I've seen a lot of people.
Behavior mod is, I think it's really a niche. I think it's like service dog training. I think that's a niche. I think it's one of the niche things that, and it can be very, very much a slog, like very mentally draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to do behavior mod maybe someday, but I think I'm primarily going to focus on a puppy program.
Yeah.
That's now.
Listen, good puppy development programs are worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah, and then you have a client
Buy a
forever.
bigger
You
bus.
start- If you get a puppy, you have a client forever, like for sure. If you do your training well, and
Yeah.
that client's gonna stick around, and you're gonna watch that puppy grow, and you're gonna get to work with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of my puppy clients I still see to this day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they still call for advice. They still send me videos of their dogs. Like that's a
For
forever.
me, it's not wanting puppy owners to have to go through what I went through with 11 and what I go through with 11.
Yeah.
Because I've had him since he was 6 weeks, and he is, I mean, as all of you but Steph has met him, is a little bit of a nightmare.
He's better.
He's better. He's better. We have worked hard.
Be a nightmare, Steph. He's better.
He's so sweet when I
We
met
had
him.
things working for the guy. Okay.
It's
No,
been
he's
it's been a
Trainers
rough-
describe as, oh, he's lovely and absolutely not the dog like you let run around a kindergarten classroom. Yeah. Okay.
He's a great guy.
no, I wouldn't let him near children ever.
Yeah.
I
I
would. I would.
wouldn't. Children are terrible. I wouldn't. I don't want to be near them either, which might be part of it. But I don't want
Love that.
other dog owners to have to go through what I went through, not properly raising 11 in a way.
Joey, get out of the bathtub. Excuse me, my dog's in the bathtub. Joey, get out of the, I hear you. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Mine are barking in
Sorry.
the background from their room, so.
I hear the nails in the tub. He's trying to get water.
But I
This
don't
will
want them to
surprise
have to go
everyone.
through what I went through
And
without
sleeping on place.
What'd you say?
not.
Hold on, Alexis has spoken.
This will surprise everybody. Mine
Wait.
is snoozing on place.
Let me see, show me,
Okay, that is
prove
weird.
it, prove it. Look at what training does, okay? She never sent her dog there. Her dog doesn't have an off switch, but look at that,
It's not switch now.
look at that.
Gorgeous. Love it.
Yeah, just like you have a good dog now too, okay, B? Just like your dog is
He
great.
is a good boy. I love him. I love him more than anything.
The goodest
he's
fucking
like-
boy.
She
a
is fully
handful.
ready to do whatever. If I
But
said
she's
then,
still
hey,
in.
let's go, she'd be like,
But
yeah,
she's
let's
still
go. But
But she's
Yeah, I
making
just don't want people
decisions
to-
and being a good dog.
she's
I
continuing.
just don't want people to have to deal with it, because having to deal with it with a 60-pound full-size boxer who wants to eat everybody's face, dogs and people. I don't want other owners to have to do it.
That sounds great.
It was a tough
That
day.
sounds like a lovely dog. Lovely.
No, I think honestly, like I see a lot of puppy programs, like, you know, the AKC puppy class, the STARS program, all that, teaching basic obedience. Not a lot of like puppy stuff
Yeah.
deals with like behavior and socialization, like proper socialization. And I think that
Yeah,
that needs to be out there. Like people should know
Yeah.
what is proper socialization. People should know what is behavior that's concerning in a young dog. Like a lot of people don't know how to call out aggression in a puppy, and I've seen puppies at 8 weeks old.
you had
6
one.
weeks
You
old.
had your little boy who was living with you, who was a
Yeah, a little white
handful.
Yeah. I mean, sassy from 4 weeks that they got to my house. They're 4 weeks old, and this dog was like some drawing there, some drawing there.
Yeah.
So you know,
I'm
genetics.
seeing
You know,
red
genetics
flags.
is a thing. You know, I guess genetics is a thing. So yeah,
Weird.
Yeah, but I think
that
people
is a
don't-
thing.
Yeah, we made
have
a
that.
puppy program last year, and the basis of the whole thing was from a behavioral standpoint.
awesome.
I tell all my puppy people the first day they come in, I'm probably going to teach you sit, but like I also might forget it. I am going to teach you all of these other things that are actually important, because I can teach a 12-year-old blind and deaf dog how to sit. You only get one chance to not fuck up puppy socialization. So
Exactly.
here we go.
Like, so my goal is to, in 5 or 7 years, I'm gonna buy a full-size bus, gut it out, build in kennels, and I'm gonna do an entire puppy program based on board and train puppies and traveling with them and exposing them to everything and socializing them properly, so that what you get back is a bomb-proof dog.
I don't think people understand how important that is. Like the first few
It's-
weeks, my puppy can't go anywhere because it doesn't have its shots, and I just have a 6-month-old Terrier because now I can go everywhere. Now my dog doesn't
Yeah.
want to go anywhere.
Mhm.
Well, it was my idea
Yep.
that to do in the first place, and then I took 11 and traveled with him for a month. And the amount of improvement by week 3 is when he met Alexis, and Lindsay, Alexis's roommate, and he walked right up to both of them to take food from them.
And was like, cool, nice, awesome.
He was skittish about it, but it made such a huge improvement. I was like, oh my God, this is definitely what I'm doing, because if that can happen with a highly reactive adult dog, what's it gonna do for a puppy?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what
what's
I've
it like-
shifted my focus to.
When I help rescues, I try. I mean, obviously, I go help with the red cases. You know, the ones that are on death row, or you know, they just don't know what to do with. But I've been trying to do more puppy stuff so that when they get adopted out, they're potty trained, they're leash trained, they're all those little things that makes people want to return a dog. They're social. You
Yeah.
know, they're good dogs. I think we need to start with the puppies. Start them young.
Yeah,
Got to get people.
for sure.
We gotta get these people to understand. There's one of your TikToks that I don't know, your shit always stands out to me because I love everything that comes out of your mouth. I really am a fan. I'm fanboying right now. Okay.
Me too. Me too.
No, but you mentioned like a lot of people think that the dog's training is over after a 6-week puppy course, and you know, do you expect the next 12 years to be perfect off of 6 weeks of your dog learning?
Yeah.
Imagine you stop going to school after kindergarten, but you know your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s, like, but you never go to school. Like that's how everybody should see. Like, you can't just stop after your dog does 6 classes or obedience classes or after you did a board and train program. Because for some reason, these shelters think that I can take a dog for 2 weeks and miraculously this dog is cured and you don't have to do anything else after the dog comes back. Like dogs.
Then all of a sudden it will be totally adaptable to any home that will not have to do work.
Yeah, let's forget.
Oh yeah, totally. We could do that with
record.
Sky, right? Norca, we could do that with Sky, right? Adopt her into any home.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, people have that expectation though. It's like, I trained my dog. Okay, you went to the gym for 2 weeks. What's your point? You don't have a 6-pack after 2 weeks of just going to the gym. Like, this
You can't run a marathon.
Literally, dog training is like a gym membership. Like, if you don't show up, you're not going to see results. And I think when behavior modification, like, people really like they really don't think about the practice that goes into trying to help this dog get better. Like, you spend months on the road with your dog and notice after a few weeks, like, holy shit, this experience is making my dog a different person, a different dog, right? Like, you saw the difference after meeting a few different groups of people, like, that your dog went from to, hey, what the fuck is this? You know, like, and it's a beautiful thing. And we get to see it all the time because obviously we train dogs and, you know, they have behavior issues, but I don't know, like, I don't think people realize how important it is. Like,
You guys all train dog with behavioral issues. I train my behavioral issue dogs and also puppies.
Yeah.
No, Norca and Alexis have trained my behavioral issue dogs.
yes,
Excellent.
It's been great. Thanks for the experience.
So so this is going to be a little bit like of a lighter moment. If you were a dog breed, what dog breed would you be?
A corgi. She would be a corgi. No.
So she just pointed at my puppy Malinois because apparently that would be probably a Malinois. When not directed in the appropriate direction, I am destructive and problematic. I am capable, and I am also capable of not doing anything productive, but still problematic. Yeah, no. Yeah.
You're describing my ADHD.
Yep, just a smidge. Yep, just a little bit. That's a smidge of a problem. Yeah, I went like, oh my God, maybe Malinois, and she literally just sat here and looked at the dog and then looked at me and then looked at the dog, and I was like, yeah, okay, fair point.
What about you, Alexis? What kind of dog do you think you would be?
I have no idea.
A cat. Yeah, there, I said it. Yeah. No.
I think Alexis would be a German Shepherd.
You think so? I see like
She's
a Vizsla.
reserved.
I see a
She's
Vizsla.
reserved. She's
I do
smart
not have
and
the energy to
reserved
be the-
and well behaved right up until you piss her off, and then she bites hard.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
I think I would be like a giraffe. I don't even think I would be a dog.
I think you would be a Jack Russell.
You think so?
Hard
Yeah.
worker, but with the amount of energy that makes me exhausted and no
What
attention
energy?
span.
What are you talking about? What energy? I don't know what you're talking about.
I would say Jack Russell.
That's my next breed, by the way. And I'm going to teach it Shih Tzu. We're going to work the sleeve.
Yes.
Like, imagine a Jack Russell just going in the air, just like with no tail. Like, just
Yes,
like,
there's a ton of small breeds that could totally do protection work,
I've seen
and
Frenchies
like,
do it, but-
it would be so fun to watch them. There's apparently a Boston Terrier on like Instagram. Or
There
TikTok.
is, and it is the most awesome thing
Is it
to
a Boston or
watch.
French?
Thing ever.
No, it's a Boston. There is a
Boston?
Boston Terrier who does bite work, and it is,
I've
and
seen the
he's
Frenchies.
and he's so serious about it too.
Yeah, it's
Like
work.
he's
fucking
he's
work.
serious. He
Yeah.
weighs 25 pounds.
Yeah, Snooky's 13 already. You know, I know she won't be around much longer. Then again, she's a wiener dog. She might live till she's 22. I don't know,
Mhm.
but
Literally that.
maybe I'll have a dog
Probably
in
be
70.
27.
You have a wiener dog and a Chihuahua. They're gonna outlive you.
Yeah, the Chihuahua for sure.
Yeah.
And the beta fish over there too.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around for a while.
My dog is licking.
My-
I don't know.
Can we see the puppy? Can we see?
Show me
He's
your
not
puppy.
really puppy size anymore.
Oh, look at that face. I can't. Okay,
I
put
love-
it away. Put it away. I
I
can't see it.
love that your puppy looks like they stuck their face in coal.
Yeah, that's the level of intelligence he has.
What's his name?
Stick his face in coal.
What's his name?
He's lovely. He's pretty. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, he's not exactly a Mensa candidate. Yeah,
What's his
I've
name?
found some
Boxers.
What
I
do you
have
call it?
boxers. They're not even. They're boxers.
What do you name him?
They're
okay.
very
My last
sweet.
few
What's the dog's name?
are very, very smart, and I really, really like thinking dogs. Juvie. I really like thinking dogs, and man, does he bite super good, but he doesn't think.
I think that's what they were made
he's
for.
learning.
They were made to bite.
Yeah.
If anyone out there is
Yeah.
wondering
My
why
last
Belgian
few that
Malinois
I've trained
before.
bite, but they also think.
they think and
Have
bite.
you gotten clients who have had breeds that are built for working and biting and things like that contact you and be like, how do I make my X breed stop biting? Like, how do I make my Malin? Oh, she froze. Oh wait, no,
No,
she
she
didn't.
didn't. I can
Just
see the tail.
listening.
moving. The
I would
tail's
say like
moving.
3 or 4 times a day. Like I would say at least once a day. Yes. Yeah. Pretty much a lot. Yep. Juvie.
What language are you teaching him?
His working commands will be in French. So with my other dog, like ring is in French and it's on one side. My other commands for obedience are in German, they're on the other. And then trick work, scent work, anything else that's just kind of like something I want to teach them is in English. But the stuff that I plan on competing in is almost always in French.
Nice.
Why French?
Because French ring is a fun sport and they like everything to be in French. So technically the rule now is that all your commands just have to be in the same language. It used to be that it had to be in French. Now it is that it has to just be the same language. You can't just pick random things and mix them together. Because I started him in French and the club that I used to train with, everyone taught in French there. Then I train all my working stuff in French.
I've noticed French has become the new language for a lot of trainers.
Yeah.
It used to be
Yeah.
German, now it's French.
I'm
Not
still waiting
Alexis.
for Norwegian to catch on.
Oh, excellent. I have a friend of mine, she trains with us, she trains in Gaelic.
Like,
Well, nobody will be able to mimic her commands.
No, not at all.
No one.
No.
I like it.
Yeah.
That is a complicated language.
Yes. I can tell her dog to do like 3 things and that's it. I just hold on to it.
Can you spell that for me?
Yeah.
No, spelling doesn't help.
No.
Spelling doesn't help. Spelling makes it worse.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with Gaelic, spelling it out makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because there's like 90 letters and 2 consonants.
I don't want to.
Yeah. That's accurate. Yeah. Mhm.
One
Yeah.
word.
Everything just
They
has
have
like
like a G, a V, an umlaut next to like a U, and then
It's
like another
pronounced
G and a Y, and it's pronounced like low.
literally
I
that.
tried to learn. I tried to learn
languages I
Gaelic and
never
gave
want to
up.
learn.
Yeah, I tried to
Languages
learn
I
Gaelic
never
and gave
wanna
up.
learn.
It's too hard.
No.
What is the future of beta dog training?
Well, that's a fun and interesting question.
Pretend to freeze.
Listen,
dog's
I don't have. Hey. No. You want to take him out? Yeah. No. Be nice. Oh, he's going. He wants all the toys. He's going out. So now he's gonna steal my other dog's toy on the way out. That's such a good question that I don't know the answer to. Yeah, so for the last year, so for about 2 years, we worked straight up on just building infrastructure. For the last year, I've worked on development internally, which means taking the people that I've hired and just developing them further, because I've been trying to decentralize for me. So I don't want to have to be here every day, all day. I don't want a company that is completely dependent on, if I break my leg and I can't work for 6 weeks and nobody else can work, like that's a problem.
Just want to be that boss.
Yeah. So for the last year, I've just been developing people. A couple years from now, like 5 years from now, I'm actually from the other side of the country, and I really would like to be able to have like one facility there and one facility here, and be able to split my time, because I do not get to go home a lot, and I would like to do that. But that would also depend on being able to develop everyone here enough that I can be completely removed from here, so that I can go do this all over again on the other side of the country.
Yeah. Sounds about right. No, but it's good.
That answers the question.
You want to make sure you're leaving a team behind that's going to represent you and your work. So yeah, that's totally understandable.
So, and especially because we are known for like what we're known for, I can't just be like, oh, hey, we're leaving, or I'm leaving. No, that's good. And then, have somebody come in with a human aggressive something and leave my people to get bit. So my rule is, if you think that's going to bite you, you call me and I come out, because I'm 30 feet away at all times. And in 5 years, I want them to be able to do that without calling me. And that would be short-term. Short-term goals involve me taking at least 1 day off a week, sometimes 2. And
calm down there, big shot. Calm down now. Calm down now.
Right. That's been Haley's personal project for the entire time she's worked for me, and it has taken 5 months, and now we are 3 weeks into I have 2 days off a week.
Good.
It's pretty good.
You guys do not understand that that's such a big deal for us dog trainers.
No, I know it is, because if you recall correctly, I told you to pick a day and that you weren't allowed to take any clients on that day.
I have to be
told to
Shelly
too.
To take days off, because I will work. I mean, dogs are just there all the time. Like, this is my life.
Yeah.
My passion. I live and breathe dogs.
It is very much a lifestyle. Like, it's very much a lifestyle dog. Specifically behavior mod too. If you're doing behavior mod, that is when that problem comes up at 11 o'clock at night, you get to stay awake until it's dealt with.
Yeah.
Like if somebody decides, hey, I just do not crate, or I'm going to eat you, and it is 11 o'clock at night, you're like, well, I guess I'm going to.
Yeah, this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
this is the moment that we have to train. So this is the moment that we are training. And
that's a big one.
Specifically, if you want to do behavior mod or board and train, like
no one can watch your dog. Just know that. You cannot just say, okay, I'm gonna take the weekend to myself, because you have dogs that can't be handled by the people that handle your dogs. Like,
I'm aware.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's great stuff. I had Mac here for.
I have 5 dogs that can be watched by all of my staff, and I have 1 dog that.
Beware, don't touch.
Yeah. He's a one-handler dog.
Yeah, it gets hard, and it is.
Is that Mac?
Mine was Mac. Hers.
Sorry, no, Steph. Is that Mac, your one-handler dog?
Yeah. Mac is one-handler. Mac is my dog, and he's a one-handler dog. He does listen to my boyfriend. He will listen to him. He will play ball with him and go for a walk with him, and that's fine. But so he's the only other person that he won't just kill. My staff are friends with him to a degree, like they can interact with him muzzled and back-tied or through a fence, but he will never be allowed to interact with anyone without a muzzle, and he will never be allowed to interact with anyone loose. Nope, that's not worth it.
So what is a story that you have, whether it's your dog's or a client dog, that's one of those stories that's just like, yep, so that happened, and whether you are amused or embarrassed or horrified, without like outing a client or anything?
You could out them, you're fine. We can edit that. We want to know everything.
What is a Okay, from like the standpoint of like, oh my God, I can't believe that actually happened, or from a standpoint of like,
Let's go with that one. Let's just go with that one. I like that.
Let's go with that one.
I have a fairly good one from like a rescue thing though, but it's not really, it is kind of dogs, but it's not really dogs. It's an interesting, okay, it's not really dogs, but okay, so the lady that I used to work for the rescue, she was the training coordinator. She's still like one of my best friends. She runs a sanctuary. She's amazing. And she was like, hey, anytime I've ever gotten called from her and she goes, hey, do you wanna, it's always an interesting time. She goes, hey, do you want to help me round up these dogs? They're livestock. This guy has a bunch of livestock guardians on his property and the county's going to try and evict him. And it's not good. Like it's not a good situation. Nothing is good here. And I was like, okay. And I went with her and we were looking to pick up some of the cats, and they were still looking to trap, I think, 4 of the dogs. So we brought traps and we were going to find the cats. And we get there and Buddy's there and he's really friendly and that's nice. And it's winter. It's like January and it's like minus 25. And we're just like, this is fine. This is all fine. And there's lots of random livestock and these 4 very sketch livestock guardian inbred Pyrenees crosses that are running around. So we set a bunch of live traps up and he's like, hey, do you want to take the cats with you? Because they had like ear mites, eyes, something. And Tara was like, okay. And I'm like, okay. So we go into this dude's house and so the dogs weren't allowed in the house, but the livestock were. And so there's the cow in this dude's kitchen. And there's just the smell was overwhelming. It was
I imagine.
It was phenomenal. So there was a cow in his kitchen, no running water, no power, no nothing.
But the dogs are not
and then
allowed
there was
inside.
3 different. I'm like, wow, dude, there's a peacock on your dining room table. And he was like, no, that's a peahen. And that is how I learned the difference between peacock and peahen. And I went, this
difference?
is
Wait, I
phenomenal.
gotta teach us. What's the difference there? Hold on.
Peahen is a female and
like
peacock is a male.
Yes. And they have very different like tail feathers or something. And I was like, this is an interesting conversation to be having with a man standing on about 6 to 12 inches of cow manure in someone's kitchen. I was like, I'm learning a lot. This is good. And then we catch these cats and I've had to take my glasses off because like it's quite humid with the urine situation and the heaters that are everywhere because like we're running on some generator because it's very cold. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we catch all these cats and I'm like, okay, cool. And then he's like, hey, do you want to see my garden? And we're like, sure, man. Not a great idea, by the way. It was a very
growing.
I don't really know why we agreed to that because we thought it might be back out in the barn. We were not correct. And then as we're going to leave, I realize I've taken off my glasses and I've hooked them on my shirt. And now I don't have my glasses because this one cat tried to kind of claw me and it turns out, woo, that was fun. So then I'm looking for my glasses in cow manure. And that is how I broke my glasses 4 years ago because they got stepped on by a cow in some dude's kitchen while we were hunting for feral cats. That was a fun time. I learned a lot about things.
Wow.
So it didn't really involve dogs. But like,
It's a cat story though, guys. It wasn't about dogs. Now you gotta tell us another one. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, that's a good time. Same lady actually goes up to a community that was about to do a cull. So when there's a large enough pack of dogs in a community that have then caused safety issues for the residents involved, sometimes communities choose to cull. Some of those communities have relationships with local rescues that if they have the time and the personnel and the space, they will go up and try and trap some of the pack. So texts me and is like, hey, I'm gonna go up and try and catch some of this pack before this cull. And I'm like, ha ha ha, bring me back something with pointy ears. So she shows up at like 10:30 at night. Now, thank God it wasn't winter. She shows up at like 10:30
You
at
asked
night.
for it. You asked for it.
Just for funsies, she goes, I definitely brought you something with pointy ears. And I was like, warning bells are going off because I'm like, she seems very happy about this. And she's like, she knows I like shepherds. And she's like, so I actually brought you 2 because he wouldn't come without his girlfriend. And I was like, okay. And then she opens the side door and one of the large live traps is there, and it has been reinforced with like, I don't know, 24 zap traps. And there is what could have been a Swiss Shepherd, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, that's not a dog. And she's like, it's sort of a dog. So she brought me a feral wolf cross and its girlfriend at 10:30 at the night in the rain, and we're unloading this like live trap through my airlock doors and around a corner, and it's like not happy.
But were the ears pointy?
This is fine. What?
Were the ears pointy?
Oh, were the ears pointy?
Yes.
Who you requested it?
Yeah, she was like, you said pointy ears. I brought you something with pointy ears. Have a good day. And I was like,
Follow the order.
and that is how I learned to clarify what I request.
So what happened to those two wolf dogs?
He became a sanctuary dog. She was okay. She was a shepherd cross thing that he just really liked. So if you'd interact with her, he'd be like, okay, well, you're not that bad. He stayed here for the better part of 8 months before we went, no, like he's never going to live in a home.
Right.
She was, I think we adopted her at maybe 6 or 7 months in. I think, no, we had her ready for adoption when we decided he would become sanctuary. So in order for a dog to become sanctuary with the people that I used to work with and with the, like my friends, like sanctuary now, the dog doesn't have to necessarily be okay with people, but it does have to be okay with other dogs to a degree. And it does have to like the lifestyle with which it has chosen. So if it wants to be an outdoor, independent, chill dog, it's just like, hey, I don't kill people, but like, you don't touch me.
Right.
Then it's cool to live in a sanctuary if there's a spot. So because he was pretty chill with dogs, like he wasn't out to murder everything. He liked females. He liked larger females. He would actually interact decently with a decent number of dogs, but he had no interest in people. And if you ever tried to trick him into anything, he then held it against you for weeks. And I mean weeks. Like this dude,
I remember what you tried.
Yeah, so that was my first experience with low content wolf dogs, and I learned a lot. So he lived with me, like he lived in the yard and part of my building for 8 months, and then we moved him to sanctuary because there was actually a spot open for sanctuary. And I was like, this dude is great. Like if you tell him, hey man, I fed you, he'd be like, cool, don't touch me, but I'll go eat. And he'd go into his run and he'd come back out and he was just like living his life. So waited for sanctuary spot. Once he got his sanctuary spot, she got adopted out.
He was minding his business and drinking his water like half of y'all should be doing. All right.
Yes, that is exactly, yes. And he was so good about it. He was very much like, hey, that seems like a you problem. I'll chill out over here. Don't come near me. And I was like, sounds good. And I was like, hey, you look like maybe I should check you for, like, I should try and put flea stuff on you. So I did that. And then he didn't come near me for 2 weeks. And then I was like, hey, I killed your fleas. And he was like, well, I liked them.
You still touched me. You touched me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not just hybrids. It's not just hybrids that do this, guys. Or like dogs do this too. And this is the reason why a lot of dogs fail after, getting rescued or adopted. A lot of people just try to love and touch and cuddle, do all this stuff really fast, and these dogs are not with it. Like a lot of these dogs don't even want your affection.
Yeah,
they don't. A lot of people go in there with the fact that, oh, dog, come here, let me touch you, hug you, love you, give you all this stuff you don't need, and then people get bit 2-3 days later, or 3 months later, or whatever. Dogs suffer from that too, not just hybrid wolf dogs.
I mean,
most dogs are so happy to just not have you touch them. And I'm like,
yes,
most. Don't touch them.
Yeah, I was going to say both of mine, unless you were me, don't really care about affection from other people. Sen will get really excited to meet somebody new. Once she gets her sniffs in though, she's like, don't touch me.
And then randomly, if she decides that she would like you to touch her, she'll just back her butt into you.
Just throw herself
scratch her butt. And then she'll walk away. It was a very weird experience.
Yeah, but for the most part, like she doesn't really want people besides me touching her. She won't cuddle with people besides me. Ramses doesn't even want to meet new people in the house. He like just sits and he'll watch them. And he's like, cool, I don't really even
Don't
want
touch
to.
me, peasant.
He's just like, you're here.
He's a little bit of a
That's really
princess
good.
though. He has a princess paws.
He's a
Love him. He's so sweet. He's so sweet.
He's super, super sweet.
He's
And
malnourished,
so
right?
it's been weird to see him with new people and him not be super sweet and him just be kind of like curious but aloof.
No
Just
standoff. I was like, who the
cuddly
fuck are
lover.
you? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, no, and from like day one at the shelter with me, he was like, let me cuddle in your lap and be super sweet. And so it's been really weird to actually see him interact with people and just be like, nah, I don't care about you.
Some dogs really don't care about you guys. Just know that. Just know this. It's
I
okay.
thought Sky was like
What an
that
uplifting
until
morale.
I thought Sky was like that until I traveled with her for a month, and she is not as much like that.
She's a Velcro
She wanted Alexis to love her so badly. It's all she wanted the entire time that I was at her and
You
Lindsay's
ignored
house
her?
was, oh yeah, Alexis ignored her.
You
But
ignored her? How could you?
Okay,
So
so
beautiful.
I'm a weird person that I bet nobody anywhere ever that meets me thinks I'm a dog person, let alone a dog trainer, because most of them I just sit
Agreed.
and watch and just I'm like, you're over there, I'm over here. I don't need to fuck with
I love
you.
it.
Like,
I love it because I hate those trainers that just like, oh, and start offering shit right away. Like, dude, chill out, let this dog do its thing. Just watch and observe. Please watch and observe. If you're a baby trainer out there listening to this, like, and you want to know how to do your evaluations and assessments, just fucking watch. Just watch their relationship. Watch what they do. Watch how they handle their dogs. Don't worry about asking questions. Don't worry about giving the dog treats and trying to change behaviors right away. Just assess the moment.
Yeah, I just had my first in-person assessment, and I clearly confused the handler who was used to other trainers because I just ignored the dog and was talking to him. And the dog was just like, please love me. Hey, 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 hey. And I'm just like,
hello, human.
Can you?
I mean, don't get me
just-
wrong. I would greet the dog over the human first any day. But when it comes to like training and my assessments, like I do not touch your dog until I assess it. Like I have to see your relationship with your dog. Or
My in-person assessments, I don't touch anything, and most of the time I don't even let you keep your dog. Normally I ask you to put it on the wall. Too many people have dropped leashes on me and let their dog try and eat.
Oh yeah, those are the best ones.
God,
Or when they
Sky
put the
would have a
muzzle on,
tantrum.
when they put the muzzle on, but they don't like secure the muzzle and put it on properly.
Yeah, and then it's just
And then you're
boop,
like,
gone.
you're like this, and then a muzzle comes off. You're, oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
You grab your dog. You grab your dog. Yeah, it's the worst. It's scary, guys.
Yeah, I generally don't handle a dog in the first session or in any assessment. And I also normally remove the dog from the owner as well. And I have the dog wait 10 feet away from them just on a leash on the wall. And yeah, I don't interact with the dog. I'm like, they're all letting me, their dog jump up on me. And I'm like, I don't need to touch your dog. I don't need to look at it. Can you put it on the wall? Also, it has a 4-person fight history. Why are you letting it jump on me?
I'm just gonna let my dog say hi. See what happens, you know. It's so common, it's scary. It's so common, it's scary.
Yeah,
That is insane. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. But before we do, Steph, do you have any questions for us?
I don't have a ton. I really am. I mean, I'm a bit interested in just like, what is like the most common type of dog stuff near you? So do you guys have like a wealth of dog sports around you or facilities that do like sports there? Or is it mostly just like people running group classes? Are there people like where you guys are that are like, you're like, hey, how many board and trains are around here? There's not that many, but you guys are all in fairly much bigger cities.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's options there? Like, how does that work?
I mean, where I'm at, there's definitely options. Like, you know, if you're a dog person and you got skills, you can pretty much run any dog business you want. But
Okay.
I live in a smaller city. I think Alexis's city is even smaller, actually. But I live in a smaller city. Mine's about 300,000 people. There's options.
It's like that's
I
small.
wouldn't call them
That's
good
small.
options, but there are options.
Yeah,
But any sports stuff with where I'm at, you'd have to go to Atlanta.
Hey, puppy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Is that far from you or no?
It's 2 hours.
That's not bad.
Yeah, if I want to see some like Shih Tzu or some ring, or I gotta go to Tampa. That's about an hour from me too.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Alexis?
I don't know yet.
You gotta get out there. Get out there.
Yeah, I've only been here a couple months and I don't really leave the house.
I'm gonna come
Ever.
visit. I'm gonna come visit.
So,
too. Let's go do dog stuff. Let's
Yeah,
go
so
do
I don't
dog
know
stuff. Beat.
what's here just yet as far as even other dog trainers. I've poked around a little bit online and I'm not seeing a ton. Where I was in Utah before, we had like the big box store group class. We had a trainer that did group classes, and there's a hot mess. Their puppy socialization class gives me anxiety.
That was what a pet
Massive
store, right?
anxiety. Otherwise it was just, as I was leaving, kind of a lot of individual people suddenly were popping up calling themselves dog trainers, and I was quite excited to get out of there because I was like, I don't even want to deal with all of this and all of the fixing that's going to need to be happening, because that's mostly what I dealt with, was people going through other trainers and then ending up in a worse spot, and then I got them after that.
Yeah.
So, which is fun.
Mm-hmm. Was that puppy socialization class one of those ones that it's just actually a glorified play group?
Basically, yeah.
Like
So they still pop up on my Facebook, and so I've seen like their like puppy socialization class, and it's just like all the puppies are on leash, but they're kind of just being let to go run up to all the other puppies and kind of do whatever, and they have like random obstacle things that they're attempting to get puppies to do. And I worked with a puppy that came out of their like puppy socialization class, and that dog was a reactive mess.
Hey.
It's weird because that is like the new standard for it used to be a puppy group class for 6 like puppy obedience class. Now the new seems to be a puppy 6-week socialization class, which is really just a glorified play group before you can even go into obedience, because they encourage you to do that first, it seems, and then they put you through varying levels of puppy obedience, but still have a large component of play group in the middle of this class. And I'm not entirely sure how that's supposed to like build a dog properly. Is that a chicken?
You have to.
That's a
you
chicken.
have to unmute yourself, Norca. You have to unmute yourself. What? Why do you have a chicken?
My neighbor just brought me over one of my chickens because they keep flying over the fence. So yeah, hey guys, chicken.
That is fantastic.
That just made my
Wait,
day.
none of your dogs kill chickens?
No, they're great with my
Really?
chickens.
One used to. Now he eats the eggs.
When I first moved here, I had to e-collar train the bully breed that lives here because he had already killed 2 of them. So we did a little e-collar training in the back room, and now he just goes out there, hangs out with the whole flock.
Now you're good?
Yeah, we're good.
That is lovely.
They need the.
Do you use them for training? Use them for training?
Yeah, I use them all the time for my dogs to come. Yeah, I use it for
Yes.
and stuff. Yeah.
I have been trying to convince Dixon that we should get
really
chickens for training.
Get chickens. Plus you get fresh eggs.
We get breakfast for sure.
Yeah, we have a training cat, but like we don't have birds. I would really like ducks.
Chicken. You get 1 chicken, and in less than 6 months, you have a whole fucking flock of chickens. I don't know how they breed, but it happens. They multiply like. You just need
chicken math. I've heard of chicken math. Not good.
You need
Not
one,
good.
and it's like an infestation of chickens in your yard. It's fine. It's fine.
I love it.
There's a lot of holes, but it's fine. It's fine.
Dude, I got 12 acres. I'll just let them run in the woods. You're good.
My neighbor just not, because they're in his yard. And like, yeah, they're with my dogs. I'm like, oh, you're trying to die? And yeah, they're trying to die.
100%.
Yeah,
I love that
chicken
the
nuggets on the
wing.
wing.
The chickens are going over the fence. That's perfect.
The chickens.
Chicken nuggets on the wing.
That is fantastic.
I'm gonna go set her free. Give me a second.
That is wonderful.
Just has a chicken.
Yeah. But what a great, like, they're so fantastic for training. That's wonderful. But yeah, I'd see a lot of the puppy programs. It used to be the 6-week puppy group class was like all about sit and down. And now the puppy group class concept seems to be completely based on socialization, but the socialization concept is starts and ends at wild playtime of all these puppies together. And I'm like,
I was guilty of that. I
From
was guilty.
Oh, like from honestly, like my perspective on it is it's just a money grab. It's just a way to get people into more classes and to have to continue taking classes and to create more problems to fix so that they just keep doing more and more and more.
yes,
It's just a money tactic.
literally that.
So
Yes.
as the person who is mostly just an owner, because I am definitely only an apprentice, I am kind of happy that I don't want to have to interact with that many people when my dogs are puppies, that I didn't put them into anything like that.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, it helps.
because 11 is enough of a challenge. I
It
can't
honestly
imagine how much
depends on
worse he
the
would have been
program.
if I'd put him in a class like that.
It honestly depends on the program, I think, and the trainer and how the class is structured. Because I did start off doing my puppy classes all just like whatever when I was, when I first started. But then now, like my puppy classes now are way different. Like my dogs keep their distance. Every owner works on their individual stuff. Every owner gets individual, like, what do you want to work on with your dog here? And then we do proper introductions, but we don't do play groups. Like we don't set the dogs out to just run around and play after. My puppy classes before, as soon as the classes were over, we would spend the last 15 minutes in the yard just letting the dogs run around. And I would kind of assess the dogs and their play levels and all that, but I don't think it was the best way to socialize puppies.
Yeah.
Because some dogs would run up to other dogs and just, try to bite or try to, react, or some were very fearful and shouldn't have been in the group class at all because they're just shut down and fearful. So now let's throw them in a group with a bunch of other puppies, So I think it depends on the trainers. If you want to start off your puppy on the right paw, just really research whatever training company or whatever you go for, because I mean it's your puppy will succeed on the training you do at home, not just at the classes, but what this trainer teaches you is really important. Like I don't really focus on sits anymore during my classes. I focus on behavior stuff with puppies. I focus on, making it comfortable for you to walk with your dog, but not a professional heel looking at me and, not the positioning and none of that. I just teach people how to coexist with their puppies. It's not about
Relationship building.
Yeah. It's not like this.
That's
we sit, we stay, we down. We learn all that but that an hour of class should, like, you don't need to take an hour to teach a dog down. So I mean, I don't see why we would waste an entire class on just teaching down. Like I'll teach down in the beginning, and then all right, now let's work on impulse control with that down. Yeah. And what turns the whole class into an impulse control, while your dog is learning to down.
Yeah. My whole puppy program now is just based on teaching owners that concepts are more important than behaviors, because you're learning how to learn, right? So the whole program I have now is completely based on teaching them how to get a concept across. Well, this dog is still super receptive to that as a concept before it has any concept of anything else, right? Before there's a competing situation. Right. And yeah, with those, sure, we build sits and stuff, but like mostly it's just like, these are the concepts that your dog should know before they are 6 months old.
Learning to be a good dog.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look for puppy classes, guys, don't just look for like, my dog learns to sit, stay down, and come. Like which is what you'll get most likely like with pet store training. Like it's a basic cookie cutter, all treats,
Yeah, pet store training is actually where I started looking for trainers, because it was the only place I knew where to look for them.
And that's why most people go there, because it's super affordable. It's super cheap to go to a group class, And most pet stores trainers, yes, it's under $300.
No, because not anymore.
Where?
Here it's at both of our big box pet stores. It is $400 for 6 classes for 6 weeks.
That's still pretty cheap. Like
what?
Six classes, $400.
They're also the ones that told me I should put 11 down, that he should be euthanized because he's a danger.
Yeah, I had a lady call the other day that she had 2 trainers, like they didn't even come see the dog. They just heard the lady's story and they were like, yeah, no, we can't help. Because the dog has like 2 bites on record and he just can't.
11 didn't even have any bites on record that weren't me. Like, and those don't count. He's my dog.
They do. If your own dog bites you, it does count as a bite. Okay, guys, please don't.
So true.
Please, it does
so
count. It is a bite.
But but I had both the trainers.
I won't recommend euthanasia. I like see the dog.
Say it again.
Yeah, both trainers met him.
Unless
Met him,
like 4 to 6
and both of
hours
them.
away.
Both of them recommended euthanasia.
Oh, for 11.
Behavioral euthanasia for 11. Yeah. He's just fear reactive.
Like they were group class trainers?
Yeah.
The most group class trainers won't take a dog with behavior issues, and they will recommend. Well, I don't know who's gonna help.
He was 6 months old at the time.
A fucking puppy.
9 months
Okay,
old.
trainer
9
out
months
there
old.
recommending euthanasia for a 6-month-old puppy. Just stop it. Send them to me.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people recommend massive high dose meds between 6 and 12 months.
Got
So
it.
I'm a little bit outside the city, and also there's a very, very prominent number of companies in Edmonton that are not the same ideology as me, and they would far rather like have like there's so many dogs that are recommending high dose meds that I'm getting between 6 and 12 months old. And I'm like, when did you start meds? And they're like 8 months old. Last night we did an assessment. No, 2 nights ago we did an assessment, and this dog is 11 months old. I think it's 11 months old. It's been on 2 super high dose meds since it was 5.5 months. But they would far rather try the medication route, and then they tend to recommend euthanasia before they would recommend a dog come here.
So
Most
for
dogs that I
11,
get from rescues are on medication. Like literally 9 out of 10 dogs that I take are prescribed trazodone, 200 milligrams of trazodone twice a day. Like because the dog's hyper doesn't mean you can't train. Like you don't need to.
For 11, it was both box stores, both the head trainers at the box stores recommended euthanasia. 2 other trainers that I met with, and he was between 6 and 9 months at the time. And still wanted to eat people's faces, but that was more out of fear than aggression. He forward aggresses when he's scared. And another trainer told me that it was my fault, which I'm aware of, but that you don't need to tell me that it's my fault. I'm already aware it's my fault. Another one guilted me for having waited so long. He was like 6-9 months old. My vet is amazing because when
I ask, I'm gonna be that guy, but what age range were these trainers?
One was in his 30s, the other was in her 20s.
Younger trainers.
Yeah. My vet was because after every single time I would go to my vet and talk to her about it, she never put him on meds. He has one set low dose Xanax prescription for when he has to do something that's really going to scare him.
Yeah, like going to the vet.
That we can't avoid. Oh no, he loves the vet. That we can't avoid. And that's it. And it's only situationally. He only takes it for the duration of that situation. And
yeah, your dogs probably shouldn't be on medication their whole life either when it comes to like behavior stuff.
Yeah. Sky was on meds for a while, but she's not now.
Yeah.
I weaned her off her meds before I sent her off to Norca.
Yeah, I didn't think she needed them. Like after I assessed her, I was like, yeah, your dog does. Don't get me wrong, I am pro medication if the dog needs it after training.
I am if a dog needs it as well, but hers was just a stopgap till I could get her to a trainer. For
and a lot of people get stuck there though. That's kind of what I want to talk about there, because a lot of people they'll start the dog off on some med because the shelter had the dog on some meds, and then they just keep the dog on medication because they don't know any better because the dog came with medication. Get your dog his ass. If you got your dog and your dog is on a high thing of trazodone, it's for a reason. Like you have a nice calm dog because your dog is high as fuck all day. Like it's not because you know the dog that's in front of you. Like if you take your dogs off the meds that they came with from the rescue and you assess your dog, it's gonna be a whole different fucking dog. Like, and I think people get stuck like because a lot of people are like, well, my dog has medication. Okay, when did it get prescribed? Oh, when it came with it with the rescue. Do you ever get your dog assessed like by a trainer and another vet maybe? Because the rescue I worked with was literally just handing out fucking trazodone like it was Skittles because it just keeps the dogs calm. And that's not okay. Like, let's just give the dog trazodone, just jumping all over the kennel.
Like, we get a lot of dogs on meds, like tons of them. And people seem to prescribe meds for everything. And I've recommended meds on like a handful of dogs over the last few years. In December, I've sent back this client an email. I was like, oh my God, you need to go to your vet and you need to get prescribed an anti-anxiety med for this dog. And she just did a private the other night. And she was like, no, I sent my husband to the vet and they didn't prescribe this dog meds. Now, this is what happened. This is a normal dog. We've done some puppy stuff with him. He's been in our day program off and on for like 8 months. In November, he was chewing on stuff she didn't notice. He was chewing on a fan cord. He electrocuted himself to the point that he almost died. He had burns on both sides of his neck and had to spend the night in the emerge vet. So Buddy comes home, antibiotics, clears up. He lived. Good times. And they start to notice, they take him out. So he came to the day program the next week. She had just messaged us and said, hey, I can't send my dog this week. Don't come pick him up, because we picked him up. Mm-hmm. But she didn't say why. Just said like, hey, he's on antibiotics. And we went, okay, cool. We'll see you next week. The next week, this dog walks in here and he's standing. He won't get in a crate. He won't go on a bed. And my trainer is holding him and is literally just like, Steph, you got to come here. And I came out of the office and I'm like, who is that? And she's like, it's this guy. And I'm like, we've known that guy for like a year. Why is he standing there petrified of a crate and a bed and he won't move? And then we did go, okay, instead of a top crate, you go to a bottom crate, and he threw himself in the back. And we were like, oh, something happened. So we literally sent an email. She's like, yeah, this is what happened. He full on electrocuted himself. Holy shit. Over Christmas, sends us a message. She's like, okay, he's never been reactive. He's in our puppy program. Like, he's fine. All of a sudden he's being reactive on the walk. She goes, he's sitting in the living room and he'll be there. And then like the furnace will turn on or somebody will just get up. And this dog is then like panting, freaking out, vibrating. He's literally having a panic attack. And so I told her, I was like, whoa, you have to go get this dog meds. I said, this dog went through a massively traumatic experience. This dog almost died. Here's the thing. You can't explain to this dog what electricity is. This dude has
why that happened.
Yeah, he's chewed on stuff every 5 days a week for his whole life. Totally fine. And then one day the world tried to kill him.
And the thing is that he may associate that to anything that was around him at that point. It might not even be the chewing of the cord. It might have been he was too close to the crate, or he was too close to this carpet, or he was too close to whatever, you know.
And my fear is that he associates it with nothing. And he literally goes, well, I was doing something so normal that randomly, intermittently, something will try and kill me. So he's fine until he's absolutely not. And then he's literally, you can watch this poor dude have a panic attack. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you need to drug this dog. You need to have 100% anti-anxiety meds for a minimum of 6 months. We're going to step back and do some baby confidence building. And then in 6 months, we will look at weaning him down and see, but he needs to be like panic attack free for 3 solid months, well on meds before we even think about it. And she went to the vet that knew this thing had happened, and they did not prescribe meds. They were like, have you tried CBD treats? And I'm like, I've had someone come here with a 7-month-old Pomeranian. Yeah, they came here with a 7-month-old Pomeranian, and they messaged their vet. They were like, we moved into an apartment and he's whining in his crate. He's never been alone. They moved out of their family home. This dog had never been alone his entire life. They emailed their vet, hey, my dog is whining in the crate and has for 2 nights. Like,
100 milligrams of trazodone.
They literally emailed back a script for gabapentin. And I was like, so on one hand, you can take the 7-month-old Pomeranian with no issues, that is totally fine. Right. And if you get the right vet on the right day, they were like, here's some gabapentin for your puppy. And meanwhile, this dude almost died, and he's legit freaking out in front of me. No, he's fine with the CBD treatment. And I was like, dude, this is going to need therapy.
And I don't even think, like, people don't understand how serious, like, PTSD does happen in the dog. Like, if they have a traumatic experience, that dog may associate anything that was in the surrounding during that traumatic experience as a moment of panic. So, like, the gate falling. Like, if you have a puppy and you have a gate up and the gate falls, that may be lifetime trauma for your dog when it comes to like loud noises, and especially if you don't work on it, especially if you don't try to help your dog. But like that's near death experience stuff, guys, that might need medication. Like you.
No, it's probably fine.
I don't think a lot of like separation
give 'em a
anxiety
cookie.
stuff, a lot of like crate anxiety stuff, I don't think a lot of that needs medication. A lot of it needs, proper training and, mental stimulation and all that good stuff that trainers offer here. But a lot of people do go to the vet talking about my dog won't stop whining in the kennel. Never trained my dog in my whole life ever. Never seen a trainer at a day in my life. Never had a training session with my dog other than sit. Good. Oh, look, everybody, my dog sat. Other than that, the dog hasn't had any training, but we need to medicate it. Like something's wrong there. Okay, so your dog does not need medication just because it whines a little bit in the crate. If
I keep muting myself because Sky is super enthusiastically chasing Peter as he's taking his trash out.
How is you said Sky's not on medication anymore, right?
Not anymore. No, I weaned her off of medication
So-
before I took her to you.
Okay, and why did you have
about
her
a
on
month?
medication?
I had her on medication because Sky is food aggressive. And she tore up my pit bull and she bit through my boxer's leg.
So you they recommended medication because of her behavior issues.
My vet didn't recommend it. I panicked until I could find a trainer that I was going to trust. And so I talked to my vet. My vet said, I recommend this as a temporary stopgap until you can find somebody to train her. And so
Never, or did she? And I know you love your vet. We're not trash talking.
I have a great vet.
Did the vet offer, like, say anything about training? I know you said you were looking for training, but
No, she said she said this needs to be a stopgap until you find a trainer. I have a phenomenal vet.
no, I know.
That's fantastic.
I know. You mentioned that often.
Yeah, she's like 65 and phenomenal, and I love her. She's been my vet for 8 years.
Yeah,
But she doesn't recommend medication without also recommending training.
Right.
And if she can find a good trainer to help you, like if she knows there's a good trainer who can help with that particular issue, she'll recommend them. The problem with here is we don't have good behavioral trainers. We have bad ones.
I offer virtuals if you know anyone in your city.
Yeah, no, I know. She has a stack of your business cards. Yeah. Like when I told her that I was going to start pursuing an apprenticeship in dog training, her response was quite literally, she stared at me for a second, looked at 11, who was sitting on the ground eating a snack because it was during a vet appointment, and went, please tell me you're eventually going to take behavioral problems. And I was like, maybe, but not soon.
And the thing about behavior problems, guys, it's not about certificates. So if you go out there like searching, like I want a certified trainer to do this certified stuff with my certified dog, like you can get all the certificates you want online. You can get all the certificates you want in person, wherever, working under other people. If you don't have actual hands-on experience with behavior issues, like just
all of 11's behavioral issues have been me getting training from Norca or Shelly or a couple other trainers here and there, but me doing it. I've never put him through any board and trains. He's never gone into the care of a trainer. Sky did, because I had zero idea how to deal with her food aggression, and I thought her obedience was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was just, I thought it was terrible.
Your dogs are great.
But
Your dogs are great.
He's a lot. And so I've only ever, because he's bit me and broken skin 3 times, I have scars on my hands from him. I won't put him into somebody else's care.
I'll care for him anytime.
Norca wants to steal him.
He's welcome to stay with me anytime. I love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, behavior issues are not for every trainer, guys. Make sure you do your research. If your dog is struggling with behavior issues, whatever it is, resource guarding, reactivity, actual human or dog aggression, like really do your research, because your dog, one, should not be placed on any training equipment right off the bat without any relationship being built. So trainer coming to your house saying, oh, an e-collar will fix that, or a prong collar will fix that. That's not
Great way to ruin your relationship with your dog. I should know.
So
I should know.
equipment should be used after a relationship is built with that trainer. So if you ever have a trainer just say, oh yeah, that prong collar will take care of that right away, that's not the trainer for you or your dog. If a trainer just says, you know, your dog needs to be medicated without having ever put a hand on your dog for training, like just avoid that. If you get a dog from a rescue that's already on medication, go see a trainer. Go get an actual evaluation, get your dog evaluated by a professional, and make sure that your dog requires medication, because a lot of dogs that come out of these shelters do not require medication, they just require training.
Alexis has a beautiful sunset going on there.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your St. Louis sunset with us.
She's not in St.
super
Louis.
nice.
Super
Isn't
nice.
it pretty?
It's a nice big yard. It's nice. You can see the sunset. We're admiring your sunset. It's great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunset.
It's yeah.
My son went away a long time ago.
Mine did too.
Dark down here, down
You're
south.
in Canada. I don't think you had sun in the first place.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
always.
Oh, that
I'm
was
always
one thing
happy
I wanted to
the sun's
ask
still
you
up.
before we wrap up. I do have a question. I know that you've said this on your TikToks, but how do you handle the differences in training when you have 9,000 feet of snow on the ground and it's minus 700 degrees because you live in the Great White North?
We train in Lowe's a lot. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. I'm very, very happy that I have an indoor training space, like very happy. So it gets cold enough here. Up until like 2 weeks ago, we had a cold snap that lasted the better part of like 4.5 weeks, where the longest most of the dogs could be outside was 4 to 5 minutes before they get frostbite.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like walking is one of those things here that needs to be rebuilt frequently with clients. So even if we have a board and train, we do a lot of walking, that's super fine, but we can only take them to town. We can only walk them outside if it's nice. So that does limit things. Pretty much everyone needs to be retrained on walking March, April when the thaw happens, because then as soon as it's all melty and everything smells amazing and oh my God, the world comes back to life. Pretty much everyone's walking falls apart seasonally.
You should do a seasonal class for that. I would offer a seasonal class, like refresh your steps or something.
I offer pack walks. So normally up until the pandemic, I did maybe 3 years if I did a pack walk for all of my existing clients. You could always show up to pack walk once a week, but spring, summer, fall, because I won't run it in the winter because there's ice on the ground and a large number of our dogs are not. If you fall down on ice and you let go of that dog, it might not go well. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is it's so dark here so fast. So like the sun is basically completely down in the winter by 5 o'clock at the latest, like normally 4:30. So if I can't see from one end to the other, I don't do it.
I like it.
But yeah, like we did do pack walk for a long time. Yeah, so we don't do a ton of outdoor training if it's really bad, but I will say like what we consider really bad and what other people sometimes consider really bad is different.
Oh, yeah.
So
I consider below 50 really bad.
What is 50?
Yeah, their Celsius and Fahrenheit thing are different.
Haley's looking it up. Hold on.
So I'm from Wisconsin, and
hey, all right.
2 years ago in Wisconsin, we had like a polar vortex, where the fuck that is, but it was like negative 40 degrees outside. Can you look that up? What's her name?
That's Haley. No, negative 40
Haley.
For you and negative 40 for me are the same. That's where we
Yeah.
actually.
It's when you get into that positive.
And it was
So,
like,
yeah.
dog will walk outside and be like, all the
Yeah.
clouds just start coming up, and you're like, oh shit, this dog's not gonna make it long. It's not.
I have a really awesome video. We had this dog stay with us over Christmas, and it was like minus 44. And this dog would go outside and literally it would take like 23 seconds and he'd try to levitate. So he'd have like these two paws.
Warm
and
this one up while this one's down.
Like, yeah, so and then he wouldn't pee, and so but you'd have to take him in after 3 minutes because he's levitating and also he's gonna freeze to death. So then yeah, but for a long period of time we're just like, hey, normally it doesn't get that cold for that long, but like minus 20 we can train outside all day in that as long as it's not like super windy. Minus 20 isn't really an issue. Minus 30 gets cold, But
Yeah.
-10, like I have one of my trainers that trains outside -10 in like a sweatshirt.
It's like you breathe in, if you do not live anywhere where there's snow, guys, when you breathe in, you can literally count your hairs in your nose because they're frozen. And when you breathe in, they kind of like shake around a little bit. And you can count, you can hear them crackling a little. Like that's how cold it is. So you can breathe in and it's like frozen.
Yeah, when you walk outside and you inhale and your lungs just like seize because they just freeze from that first inhale, and then you're like wrapping your face up, not just to keep your face warm, but to keep the air around your mouth warm enough so that when you inhale, you don't freeze your lungs. That's the time right there.
Yeah, I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois in October, November, December, January is when I was in Great Lakes, Illinois. And that is where I learned you could freeze your lungs if you didn't wrap your face up. And then after that, I never went somewhere that cold again. And I will happily come up to Canada to follow you around someday, perhaps. But I will not be doing it when it is cold.
It's too cold.
We talked about running a behavior seminar, like a week-long training for trainers with reactivity, because we have a lot of behavior problems and they're getting bigger and people are interested in behavior, and a week of an intensive on behavior and reactivity. And we literally were talking about it and we're like, but there's only 3 months of the year that we could potentially schedule that, because ain't nobody gonna come here if it's not June.
Yeah,
you can't run that in December. I'm like, would you like to come hang out?
I would like to, but not in bad weather. I have a bus. I will stay in my bus. I just don't have a bathroom in my bus, but I'm not going anywhere in my bus where I might die of cold. Also, I take 3 dogs with me everywhere. And while one is half husky, the other 2 are naked boxers.
Yeah, that's not going to go so well.
Completely naked.
And somebody in the protection club, she was talking to me yesterday, and she has a full snowsuit for her boxer, and she tried to bring him outside a bunch of times, and then just he's got a full snowsuit, but he can still poop. Well, his whole butt was freezing to the point that it was cracked and bleeding, even if he was only outside 10 minutes with his whole snowsuit. He's super fine, but then he had a poop hole, and he was like, no, he's still freezing. She's trying to moisturize his butt. And I'm like, that's not going super well. So she literally had to call it. She bought this whole snowsuit gear. That's fine. It was too cold. So it was, no.
Boxers are not, they're mild weather dogs. So they would probably be great up where you live in July.
They're not made for snow.
Yeah.
Well, it drops below 50 for my dogs and they wear hoodies.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no.
Below 50 degrees, they're in hoodies.
Oh, wow. Okay, so here, you said 50 is 10 degrees? Yeah. Okay, what's 20? Okay, so summer here? 68. Okay, so summer here is 68 degrees.
That's
where
beautiful.
I'm from. Winter. That was yesterday's weather.
That's our winter. That was literally 2 days ago for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything above 20 degrees, which apparently is 68, Dixon swears is too hot and we're all gonna die. And as soon as it hits 30, 35 here, we shut down like you guys would if there was snow. It's 30 degrees here and people are like, this is unlivable. We are 86. So as soon as it hits anything above 86, people are like, we're gonna have to be really careful. Everybody wait inside.
Literally 12 o'clock.
And I come visit you in August.
Yes.
Hey,
August you can have a winter.
I used to live in Wisconsin, and
you'll think it's miserable, but I will love every moment of it.
I don't miss defrosting my car. I don't miss clearing the snow off the windshield. I don't miss slipping and sliding and almost dying all the time. I don't miss black ice. You should move to Florida. In Florida.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up because I know Norca needs to get going, and I'm sure Steph probably has things she needs to do. Thank you so much for joining us. We have enjoyed having you on our show. I will go ahead and put all of your socials and your website and stuff into the description box.
Go follow Better Dog Training. Go follow Better Dog Training.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, guys. This was fun. I learned how to Zoom. I met people.
We need to do this often. All right. I think we found our co-host here. We need a co-host. So
we can have you co-host with us if you want.
Super fun.
We're down a co-host.
She's set me up now, so I'm in. Yeah.
Perfection. Haley, thank you, Haley.
Thank
You
you.
are the
Haley.
real MVP today.
Taylor,
You were the real
Taylor says thank
MVP.
you. Perfect.
Real MVP.
Awesome.
All right,
She
you guys
is
have a great
100%.
night, and you can find Let's Talk Dog podcast on our website, which is letstalkdogpodcast.com. Betadogtraining.com is Steph's website. She's in Canada and doesn't do things online, so you might need to be in Canada for that.
Need to live in Canada to work
Um,
a beta.
You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and I think that's it. Under Let's Talk Dog podcast, and then you can find us on most major podcast providers.
And then we all have our own personal stuff.
And then we all have our own personal stuff, which you can link off of our website. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening to Let's Talk Dog.
All right. Bye, dog
Bye,
people.
guys.
Bye.